Today I'm going to be talking about how much do I need to start my ready-to-wear business. And like I said, I'm Laoye Curtis, and I'm going to be taking you on this journey to help you understand the intricacies of starting a ready-to-wear business. This topic is an interesting one, which I could have added to my training curriculum for those who are launching their ready-to-wear businesses within 3 months. However, I figured that it's something we can make available for the general public at large so that people that want to get involved in ready-to-wear would have a clear picture of what they are getting into before, getting stuck midway. I remember one story I read that if you want to build a tower, you need to sit down and count the costs so that you don't start and midway all your funds are exhausted and you are stuck. According to the story, I read that if that should happen to you, you will become a laughing stock not only among your family members and close friends, but the larger community. So you don't want that to happen to you. Hence this topic. So and I like coming up with topics, that people can relate to. That's why I use the title, How Much Do I Need to Start My Ready-to-Wear Clothing Line? Now, looking closely at the topic, you would see that I didn't mention ready-to-wear business per se. And the reason is because there are at least three types of ready-to-wear businesses you can do. One is fashion retailing. Fashion retailing revolves around selling other people's ready-made clothing. It can be footwear, it can be fashion accessories, it can be dresses. Okay, so that's one option, fashion retailing, and there is also clothing, garment production. So in that wise, you are more or less like a business to business business to business model operator. In that your company is serving other people who want to outsource the mass production of their products. So you are helping others in the area of production. That's bulk garment production, and it can be for those that are into clothing lines whom you want to mass produce their collections for, or organizations that need uniform wears. Uniform wears can range from choir robes to military uniforms to police uniform, firefighting uniforms, school uniforms, sport uniforms, whatever types of uniforms out there. So that's the second major type of ready-to-wear business one can venture into. The third being the clothing line. Now, clothing line is essentially what comes to mind most times a fashion entrepreneur, or that is a fashion designer or tailor, walks up to me and says, I would like to start ready-to-wear business. So anytime I'm having this kind of conversation, I tend to clear the air so that we can be on the same call, in our conversation. So this conversation is tailored to the majority of fashion entrepreneurs whose desires is to start a clothing line. So a clothing line simply means a fashion brand that's got a label or several labels under its wing, creating a collection of wares for a specific target audience. So in that light, it means that you are creating collections of different types of wares for an audience that is specific to you. And for this, there is a need for us to understand that within the clothing line space, there are three types of clothing lines, three types of products you can create within the clothing line space. You can create fashion accessories, all of those accessories that complement one's dressing. That's fashion accessory from sunglasses to hairbands to turbans to, anklets, wristband to cufflinks to handbags, whatever that complements the dress that you wear. is a fashion accessory. Now, we also have another class of product, which is footwear. So you can create a clothing line specifically around footwear. And thirdly, you can create a clothing line around dresses. It can be male dresses, it can be female dresses, it can be for adults, it can be for kids. So you need to, be clear about the kind of clothing line you want to go into. Then we can talk about how much you need to start your ready-to-wear clothing line. Okay. Now, if this were, like a video podcast on Telegram, it would have made for interactive questions in the course of the podcast. But as it is now, you just give me the time to explain everything, then I can take on questions. So what I've done is that I have listed, about 3 areas to focus on when it comes to knowing how much you need to start your clothing line. And for this, I'll start with the first of my slides. Okay, so what I have here is number one: no amount is small or big to start your ready-to-wear clothing line. What really matters are your capabilities, which can help you to save cost. So I'll recap: no amount is small or big to start your ready-to-wear clothing line. What matters are your capabilities that can help you to save costs. Let me break that down. You see, it's a myth. It's a myth when you hear people talk about how much I need to start my ready-to-wear business. What you start your ready-to-wear business is number one, intent. Number two, opportunity. Number three, capabilities. Okay? So I'll recap. Your intent is number one, the intent to start something. Once you have the intent to start something, go ahead and take action. Okay? So I said the intent, then I mentioned capabilities, right? And then for the life of me, just keep my mind the second point I raised. But let's start again. So I'll take on intent right, first. Now, intent actually means your desire, your readiness, your self conviction that this is the path for me. This is what I want to do. And once you set your heart to doing that, you burn your bridges. Literally, you burn your bridges. So now, when you burn your bridges, right, in terms of excuses not to go ahead, then you can start looking at what are the capabilities that I need to what are the capabilities that I need in order for me to successfully do this ready-to-wear business. Now, I collapsed the 3 points to two because I think it's easier for me to explain along this line. So once you have your intent clearly laid out, next thing is your capability. So the capabilities aspect has to do with what are the things that you are capable of doing in respect of successfully launching your ready-to-wear clothing line. Number one amongst such is your creative abilities. Okay, your creative abilities. You have the ability to come up with solutions. Yeah, and I remember the other one, opportunity. So I'll take the opportunity as number three. So now, what are the capabilities? Your creative abilities. Now, creative abilities simply means that you can sit down and imagine a product that can meet a need for your target audience. And you don't necessarily have to copy someone else before you come up with a product. That's one. Or you can look around for existing products that look like what you want to create and you innovate them. So which means you've seen what looks like what you have in mind to create in your own clothing line. And then you put a spin on those existing products. That is, you look at them and like, how can I improve on things in order to meet my target audience's needs? Now, let me chip in something, which is what brings about the opportunity aspect. I've come to learn that any business or any type of business that you venture into that already has a large number of people doing that business is a good business. Many people are afraid of starting something, starting a line of business because there are so many people in that space. Oh, that space is saturated. And they self-sabotage themselves, not knowing that ants or flies do not gather in one place if there isn't an opportunity, if there isn't something there. In essence, I'm saying when you are in an industry where there are a lot of practitioners, it means there's a big market there. How do you then have your own space and be able to get up to a good start? Very easy. Look for what people are doing wrong in that space and fix that area. You will be all right. I'll recap. Look for the things that people are doing wrong in that industry, in that line of business. Then set your heart to what? Improve on those. That means that you are differentiating yourself from the crowd as a result of the innovations you are bringing in to existing problems that are there. No matter how big an industry is, there will always be dissatisfied customers. That is where your opportunity is. The opportunity for you to have a space for yourself in any line of business. It cuts across other industries, not just fashion. Now, the opportunity is in you identifying the things that your target audience are currently dissatisfied with. When they think about the products that they currently use, then you come in and do something better. Not just something better, you come in and position yourself as the better version, not the best. You don't necessarily have to be the best. I mean, you can do the same old that others are doing, but you stand out as better. So that's it about that. So let me recap them again. Intent. That means you have an intent. You have the intention to start a ready-to-wear business. If you think it's too much, you will suffer from analysis paralysis. That means that you overanalyze things and then you get stuck. At the end of the day, you just get stuck. You don't want that to happen to you, please. Apart from that, the other thing I would like us to also look at is third capabilities. So what are the capabilities that you need to develop? Well, there are a lot of them. One of them is your creative abilities, okay? Which was what led me to the opportunity thing. But then aside from that, there are others. Capabilities can cut across your ability to sketch, can cut across your ability to do graphics, can cut across your ability to, manage a team, a production team, can cut across your ability to do excellent photography amongst others. I'm going to get into them, later. I like following a structured approach since this is not a scripted class. It's structured. Sorry, this is not an unscripted class, rather. It's rather structured. I have my slides with me. So, guys, there's no amount that is too big or too small for you to start. I'll tell you a story. She's one of my business students and a coach on my platform. Her name is Debbie Ido. You can check her out on Facebook, Debbie Ido, House of Posh. Back in 2018, when I held the first batch of my ready-to-wear business training in my then coaching program, Fashion 6 Basic, I remember vividly back then that she applied some of the things I taught them, and she was able to get her ready-to-wear business started. Her clothing line started without having any money at hand. Yeah. So I'll give you an insight, an insight into it. Don't worry. I'm not going to hide things from us. Now, what Debbie did simply was to come up with some beautiful samples of her designs, of the designs she wanted to sell. She came up with beautiful samples. Now, from the samples that she created, right, which we also call prototypes, she did some beautiful, badass fashion photography. At the time, she could not even afford, to pay a professional photographer. So that was the day. Those were the days during which we had people who loved fashion. Back then were the days when we had people who were crazy about phone photography. Yeah, phone photography, and she did a decent work, a decent job with our phone camera at the time. So Debbie did some of these beautiful collections, samples. She did not mass produce. She created samples, and she promoted the photo shoot. That means the pictures, of our collection, and did a 1 week mini launch. So the mini launch was more or less a pre-order launch in which she was telling our audience, "Hey guys, I have this beautiful collection. If you're interested, you can place your order. Orders are being taken from Monday through Saturday." So between Monday and Saturday of that week in that year, when she did that mini launch, she got a good number of people to place orders. And the orders that they placed now gave her the money. She received full payment because it was pre-order. She received full payment prior to, the launch. And then by Saturday, she went to the market to buy the fabric and used the following week to produce and deliver to customers by the following weekend. She already let our audience know that it was going to take 10 working days for the mini launch to be, for the collection to be ready for those that pre-order. And she said once the launch is on, people were going to pay way higher than the pre-order price. And it worked for her. Now, what was the expense that Debbie incurred? Number one, she had leftover fabric, and then she contacted her fabric supplier to be reassured that the particular fabric she had as leftover to work with were available in stock in case she needed to order. That's what she did, and it worked. That's an example of someone who literally started, with nothing, and then she got a good going on. Till today, Debbie is still launching collections. She has a Valentine offer going on right now. Debbie is not the only story that we have. I have others too. So I've heard of people who told me that, "Oh, coach, I launched with 26,500. That's Tubular clothing last year, January. She launched with 26,500. In 2020, I had someone walk up to me and said she participated in my free classes only, and she was able to launch her ready-to-wear, creating some simple tops that were in high demand to the point that someone ordered from South Africa, and she started with 10,000 naira. And I had another person tell me that she went amongst her colleagues at her workplace, to show them sketches of what she was about to do, as in painted sketches. You do sketches or 2D sketches on paper and painted them over, with marker, and showed our colleagues and said she's going to be creating a collection for this. If they would like to order, they get it at a very crazy discount. And she was able to get started. Now, these people were able to get started with low funds because they had some capabilities in place already. That is the critical thing here. So that brings me to, point number 2. Okay, point number 2, where I want to break down some of the capabilities that you have now. What's this Olavalue about capabilities? The simple truth about developing capabilities before you even venture into doing ready to wear, okay, is that it will save you costs. Yes. Now, some of the capabilities I'm going to talk about, there are things you know already. There are things you really, really know already. I'm just, aligning all of them for you so that you can make informed decisions going forward. This is what I would like you to know, guys. Most of these capabilities are going to save you one-off costs. One-off costs are those expenses that are more like your startup capital that you cannot do without, for your ready-to-wear business. So they would save you spending so those monies, because most of the times you spend those monies once, you don't spend them twice. So now let's dig into some of those capabilities. The first of them, which is the most critical as far as I'm concerned, is pattern drafting and grading. Yep. So if you are here listening to me right now, you are a free-hand, designer, and you want to do ready to wear big time. Please, pattern drafting is essential. Is it a must? I would say it's not compulsory but necessary. Reason being that when you start dealing with huge volume, of orders for production, you would find yourself having to cut over and over and over and over and over again. With pattern drafting, you reduce the turnaround time for cutting many fabrics. That's what patterns do for you. And you can create patterns in different sizes. Okay? Because pattern drafting and pattern grading go hand in hand. You want to do ready to wear collections. You already know that ready to wear simply means in French, portapet. I hope I got the pronunciation, portapet or something. Now what that means is people walk in and then they pick what they want. They pick the size that they want. The size that fits them, and they try it on. If they need to make adjustments, well, they can go to the tailors in their neighborhood to make some adjustment. However, most of the times, it fits because you have created patterns in different sizes. Because pattern grading simply means you've created patterns in different sizes of clothing that you want to make for your customers. Now, it isn't all types of ready to wear that requires, pattern and grading as it were in our part of the world, Nigeria, because of the limited access to equipment that can get the job done faster and on a large scale. Okay, you want to get some fashion accessories, you don't necessarily have to have patterns as well. You may have models, and whatnot. So that's not something to dig into. But then, like I said, for now, pattern drafting and grading is very key, very essential. Saves you a lot of time, especially those of you into dresses. Now, what about fashion illustration? Yeah, very key. Now, fashion illustration is at two levels as far as I know. There's the 2D and there's the 3D illustration. Now, illustration, okay, illustration means you are sketching the designs that you want to produce. You're sketching them on paper. If you are doing it with 3D artwork, that is a computer aided design, computer aided designs. Awesome. Then you can animate, some of these designs. I mean, I have a couple of excellent Nigerian fashion illustrators who use 3D. Now, one of them participated at the New York Fashion Week. Okay? So, I need to take a pause right now to bring on Sidikat Urivo. Urivo, please, can you take the floor again?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Even if I'm not ready to make business, never stop.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. Okay, before I say something, let me begin to. I can see many people with their party hats on, which means you are just joining Clubhouse. Please do yourself a favor so that you can always get notifications when once such beautiful, impactful rooms start. Scroll up the room, follow me, the two moderators at the top, the two speakers, follow Mr. Laoye Curtis, and also at the top of the room you see the Fashion Powerhouse. Tap on the green icon and follow the club. These are the things by which you can get notification when something fantastic is going on in this club. And also, when me or Laoye Curtis is hosting a room, you will be able to get notification. And also, you can look into the room. We have beautiful, fantastic, knowledgeable people in the room. Follow them, especially by clicking on their pages. You see their profiles. Once you see that their profile resonates with you, you can be able to connect with them moving forward. I've made beautiful connections in this room. In fact, I'll be speaking at the Nigerian Investment Conference next week. I don't know the winner right there, so you never can tell what can happen. Okay, so do that. Then back to the topic. I just quickly want something new. In fact, it's pattern drafting, pattern grading. I think, to me, with my own experience, it is very important for people in Reddit. The ones that even need than the one I'm benefiting, because when you are doing the bespoke, you cannot predict the next style that your customer will need. So you have to cut another pattern, and you have to cut another pattern. In my own classes, I always treat these when I'm teaching scamper processes. Don't worry, what I do is different from what Mr. Laoye Curtis teaches. So I handle things when we are doing scamper processes. But then when you are in the ready-to-wear business, especially when you are thinking about export, and people don't know what is export because you've not seen the market. When you start getting the order of one design, one color, you have to make like 100 or 1,000 of it. Then you will know why those grading are very, very important. So at that point, you cannot expect me to want to make like 2,000 dresses, then I have to cut one by one by one. You get your first pattern, place it, and use your cutting machine, cut everything. There are even other machineries that will do everything for you, so that you're left to. That is just what I want to chip in. So, Mr. Laoye Curtis, over to you. Don't forget to follow us and follow. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, River. Thank you so much. Guys, you are in for a short time, working with us this year. Okay, so there you see, the industry experts are here validating some of these points I've mentioned. You can't play around with pattern drafting. If you don't have that capability, you would have to pay someone to do it for you. That increases your costs. Simple. But if you have that capability already, then you have totally cut off that particular cost. Okay, so that said, the other, skill, capability I was talking about is fashion illustration. Oh, I could have called it skill, but please, I won't call it skill. It's a different thing to have a skill. It's another thing to be capable of deploying the skill optimally. Okay? I know a lot of fashion designers that are so skillful, but they do not have the capability to bring in 7 figures, eight figures with the same skill. So capabilities are totally different from skills. Get the skills, deploy the skills, get good at using the skill, that is capability. Okay? Now, fashion illustration, like I was saying, it can be 2D, it can be 3D. With 3D, it simply means you are animating your designs. When you're animating your designs, it means that you can do a runway show with animations of your dresses. You can bring those dresses to life. Okay? So that's about fashion illustrations. At the least, it's okay if you can do 2D illustrations, which means you are sketching on paper. Yeah, you can translate your ideas on paper. Oh, I've heard people tell me like, oh, what if I don't know how to sketch? And I'm like, you have to pay someone to do that for you. And some people come to me and say, what if I go on Pinterest and I pick, dresses there and I ask you to do for me? And I'm like, well, you could do that, but does that make you like validated? I don't think so. You can do that as a hustle. You can do that as a hustle, but then if you really want to go the extra mile, you want to go far, a time would come you'll need to tell your story. Do you want to tell people I went on the Pinterest and I picked different designs and then I gave it to someone else to produce for me. No, we don't want to do that. Okay? That's why when I coach people, I try to guide them to be original and also to think globally because you don't know how far your work can go. Well, it's as far as your eyes can see, anyways. So, fashion illustration 2D level capability is the least you should have. Now, what about this other capability? Fashion photography. That is very necessary. Yeah, that is very, very necessary. Or do you have to be a perfect fashion photographer? No, but you need to know how to integrate your work with the aid of the camera. And thankfully, we have powerful iPhones nowadays. We have powerful Android phones nowadays that can take excellent pictures. We have a lot of apps that can do the photo editing for you to bring out your work. I mean, one of my proteges, he does that. That's his business. Teaches you product photography using your mobile devices. Does it mean this negates the need for a professional camera? No, it doesn't negate, but it helps you to manage your costs if you are thinking of how to start small and grow fast. Now, starting small can be used starting with $1 million. It can be used starting with 100K. It can be used starting with 50K. It's up to you, whatever amount you want to start with. It can be used starting with nothing than your capabilities. Okay, so very important. You need to perfect your product photography, skills for your fashion product. You need to be able to interpret. And I'll give you another instance why this is very necessary. The reason why it is necessary is that on pardon me, this is why it's necessary is this. On Facebook, on Instagram, you want to upload your products from time to time. To do this, you would definitely need to be good at taking pictures. When you are good at taking pictures, you can interpret your designs from different angles. I don't take pictures, but I can teach you different angles from which you can take an excellent picture. I mean, overhead, below, angular shots, the back view, front view, side view, and whatnot, as many as possible. You need all of these to give expression to your work. I've seen people post pictures of clothes they've made, footwear they've made, I mean, fashion accessories they've made, but the pose of their models was off the point. And these are supposedly professionals that they've paid. I've seen situations where people post the same dress, one designer is selling out, the other isn't selling, and it's still the same dress. It's a function of interpretation in terms of product photography. That is very essential. Okay, so now, aside from these three I've mentioned, you need to also consider your graphics design capabilities. Yeah, and you're wondering, like, all of these for a fashion designer, all of this for a tailor or and a fashion enthusiast trying to go into ready to wear. Yes, all of these and even more. Because we need to drum it into people's ears that when it comes to the business of fashion, fashion business is 20% design and production. It is 80% business. And business entails marketing, sales, branding, plus other, legacy systems that helps you to run an enterprise effectively. Yes, this is where many fashion entrepreneurs, miss it, and as a result, they are mainly self-employed instead of having successful operations by now. Well, that's our job. Our job is to open people's eyes and to guide them so that they can live where they are to where they ought to be in the community of nations. Okay? So I've mentioned graphic design. Now, the best graphic design skills you can learn right now is Canva. Yeah, if you can download Canva on your mobile device, then you are good to go. You can create different types of graphics, okay, to help you do a successful, work of interpreting your work. So that being said, I've mentioned four different capabilities you should develop. Now, aside from this, let's add two more, and we are done with this part. One is um, your ability to, master fabrics. Now, this is just an addition anyway. So if you're into business of, selling fabric, wow, your job in ready to wear is a lot easier because you are controlling the value chain of supply of fabrics necessary for production. So, which means that your fabric business is now a vendor for your ready to wear clothing line business. So, you can always control that bit in terms of expenses compared to someone who has to go to the market to go and source for fabric and isn't sure if they are going to find another fabric, the same fabric rather, when next they go. But if you are in the fabric business space, automatically what that means is that you can control all that value chain. Now, the last bit I would add is having an in-house production team. This is peculiar to those of us that are here in Nigeria. Yep. But if you are outside of Nigeria, well, this may not be necessary. Yes, as long as you have the finances to cover production, outsourcing your production. But if you're in Nigeria, you have to look at the cost of the ready to wear clothing you want to make. I mean, if you are doing anything lower than 10,000 euro, well, you need to do your search very well to find quality, garment production houses who can work within your budget. Because my recommendation usually is that your total cost of production should not be more than half of your selling price. Okay. But outside of Nigeria, I mean, what I have learned from those that have attended London College of Fashion and similar institution is your selling price at a wholesale price actually should be three times your cost of production. Yeah, if you're outside of Nigeria. But the dynamics of doing business in Nigeria is quite different. It's a tough environment. So working with bulk garment factories comes at a huge cost. Yeah, except you can find a few who are very trustworthy. I mean, Orebo has got a facility that does for people. However, your price points for your collections have to be within, our own pricing, so that you can still make profit. I mean, there's no point in you trying to create a dress that you're going to be selling for, say, 15,000, and it costs you 8,000 to sew that dress. So how much will it cost you to get the fabrics and all of the other accessories involved in making the clothes? I hope you get the direction I'm coming from, guys. So that's it. So far, capabilities I've mentioned, the four that are very essential are your pattern drafting and grading capability, fashion illustration to interpret the designs you have in your head or from the feedback you've gotten from your customers, and then fashion photography, okay, fashion product photography essentially, yeah, to be able to interpret your designs when they are ready as products that are appealing and attractive to your audience. And the fourth is Canva graphics, design capabilities, which will help you in the area of creating, offers for your collection, creating flyers for your launch, creating, logos, different things that, different visual images that can help you sell your product. In fact, on Canva, you can also do videos, short videos, vertical videos, excellent for Facebook marketing, because you don't necessarily have to talk in any video you do to promote your products. You can do a photo slide of products of your collections, right? With text overlay telling us where to order, how to order, what numbers to call, and still do a 15-second video, which is excellent enough for marketing. So these are the 4 essential capabilities. Additional capabilities rather, are just selling fabrics and then having an in-house production team. If you don't have those, then you have to outsource those. With fabric sales capabilities, it means you are going to be going out hunting for fabrics. So which means that if you are going out hunting for fabric, you should be good at convincing, negotiating, cutting deals in order to get a good bargain, and also to build rapport with those that sell fabrics to you, especially the aspect of getting resupplies. Yes, we can have a good understanding with a fabric dealer that allows you to get a first take on new bales of fabric as they come in. I have some clients who have some fabric dealers in Aba whom they transact on phone. They don't even have to see each other, and yet they get the first pick on every new consignment that comes in country. So those are capabilities that can help you reduce your cost. Now let's talk about the major costs. Okay. At this junction, can I take a little break and then welcome people to ask questions? We will do that for say 10 minutes. Then I'll talk about the major cost and how you can now do your costing to know and have an idea of how much you should look at to launch your collection, okay, for your clothing line. So please